Bryophytes. Bryophytes are also called amphibians of the plant kingdom because these plants can live in soil but are dependent on water for sexual reproduction. Bryophytes include the various mosses and liverworts that are found commonly growing in moist shaded areas in the hills. Bryophytes usually occur in damp, humid, and shaded localities. Bryophytes play an important role in plant succession on bare rocks or soil. The plant body of bryophytes is thallus-like and prostrate or erect and attached to the substratum by unicellular or multicellular rhizoids. Bryophytes lack true roots, stem, or leaves. They may possess root-like, leaf-like, or stem-like structures. The main plant body of the bryophyte is haploid. It produces gametes, hence is called a gametophyte. The sex organs in bryophytes are multicellular. The male sex organ is called antheridium. They produce biflagellate antherozoids. The female sex organ, called archegonium, is flask-shaped and produces a single egg. The antherozoids are released into water where they come in contact with archegonium. An antherozoid fuses with the egg to produce the zygote. Zygotes do not undergo reduction division immediately. The sporophyte is not free-living, but attached to the photosynthetic gametophyte and derives nourishment from it. Some cells of the sporophyte undergo reduction division, meiosis, to produce haploid spores. These spores germinate to produce gametophyte. Species of sphagnum, a moss, provide peat that have long been used as fuel, and because of their capacity to hold water as packing material for transshipment of living material. Liverworts. The bryophytes are divided into liverworts and mosses. The liverworts grow usually in moist, shady habitats such as banks of streams, marshy ground, damp soil, bark of trees, and deep in the woods. It forms slippery layer of green cells on the ground. The liverworts are small, simple, non-vascular plants that do not have roots, stems, or leaves. The plant body of a liverwort is thalloid. Example, Markantia. The thallus is dorsiventral and closely pressed to the substrate. The leafy members have tiny leaf-like appendages in 2 rows on the stem-like structures. Mosses. Moss is a small, simple, non-vascular plant that has both stems and leaves but no roots. The mosses are considered non-vascular and are grouped with liverworts because their vascular tissue is very simple. Both of them have similar life cycle. Mosses along with lichens are the first organisms to colonize rocks and hence are of great ecological importance. They decompose rocks, making the substrate suitable for the growth of higher plants. Since mosses form dense mats on the soil, they reduce the impact of falling rain and prevent soil erosion. Common examples of mosses are Fernaria, Polytrichum, and Sphagnum. Moss is used as food for animals, that is, snails and worms eat moss. They help to hold soil in place to keep it from washing away. Some mosses live on rocks and break them down to mud. Peat moss is added to soil to increase the amount of water it holds. Pteridophytes. The pteridophytes include horsetails and ferns. Pteridophytes are used for medicinal purposes and as soil binders. They are also frequently grown as ornamentals. Evolutionarily, they are the first terrestrial plants to possess vascular tissues, xylem and phloem. The pteridophytes are usually found in cool, damp, shady places, though some may flourish well in sandy soil conditions. The main plant body in pteridophytes is a sporophyte, which is differentiated into true root, stem, and leaves. Sporophytes possess well-differentiated vascular tissues. The leaves in pteridophytes are small, microphylls, as in Selenginella, or large macrophylls as in ferns. The sporophytes bear sporangia that are subtended by leaf-like appendages called sporophylls. In some cases, sporophylls may form distinct compact structures called strobili or cones, Selaginella, equisetum. Spores are reproductive cell of non-vascular plants. The fern plant has rows of little black dots on the back of the leaves. These little dots are not harmful. They hold millions of tiny reproductive cells called spores. The sporangia produce spores by meiosis in spore mother cells. The spores germinate to give rise to inconspicuous, small, but multicellular, free-living, mostly photosynthetic thalloid gametophytes called prothallus. These gametophytes require cool, damp, shady places to grow. The gametophytes bear male and female sex organs called antherida and archegonia, respectively. Water is required for transfer of antherozoids. The male gametes release from the antherida to the mouth of archegonium. Fusion of male gamete with the egg present in the archegonium result in the formation of zygote. Zygote thereafter produces a multicellular well-differentiated sporophyte, which is the dominant phase of the pteridophytes. In majority of the pteridophytes, all the spores are of similar kinds. Such plants are called homosporous. Genera like Selaginella and Salvinia, which produce two kinds of spores, macro and microspores, are known as heterosporous. The pteridophytes are further classified into four classes: Psilopsida, Psiloptum; Lycopsida, Selaginella, Lycopodium; Sphenopsida, Equisetum; Pteropsida, Diropteris, Pteris, Adiantum.
For more such videos on all subjects, practice questions, and a lot more, download iPrep and learn unlimited.